This video uses AI visuals for storytelling purposes only. Let me tell you a true story of power, love, betrayal, and a queen who defied empires. This is the story of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt. If stories like this ignite your imagination, subscribe to Vault of Centuries, because real history is more epic than fiction, and the past is waiting to be rediscovered. The year was 51 BC. Cleopatra was only 18 years old when she became the queen of Egypt. But there was one big problem. She wasn't allowed to rule alone. She had to share the throne with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII, who was just a child. In the beginning, Cleopatra ruled well. She was smart, confident, and could speak many languages. She loved her country out and tried to lead it with care. But the people around her, especially her brother's advisors, didn't like that Cleopatra was strong and independent. They started plotting against her. Soon, they kicked her out of the palace. She lost her power. She went from being a queen to being a fugitive, hiding and planning her comeback. Cleopatra was exiled from her palace. She didn't give up. She waited for the right moment to take back her throne. And then, her chance came. At that time, Julius Caesar, the most powerful general in Rome, arrived in Egypt. He wasn't there for Cleopatra. He came chasing Pompey, a rival Roman leader. But instead of Pompey, Caesar walked into chaos. Egypt's royal court was filled with tension and fighting. Ptolemy XIII, Cleopatra's brother, and his advisors were struggling to keep control. Cleopatra saw an opportunity. If she could win Caesar's support, she could become queen again. So she did something bold, something nobody expected. She secretly entered Caesar's palace, hiding inside a rolled-up carpet, carried by a servant. When the carpet was placed in front of Caesar and unrolled, there she was, Cleopatra herself, wearing fine robes, her eyes calm and sharp, young, brave and brilliant. Caesar was amazed. He saw not just beauty, but intelligence, fearlessness, and ambition. From that moment, Cleopatra had his attention, and her journey to regain the throne had truly begun. After Cleopatra impressed Julius Caesar by appearing before him in the rolled-up carpet, a powerful alliance began. At first, they worked together as political partners. Caesar helped Cleopatra defeat her enemies in Egypt, including her brother Ptolemy XIII, who died in battle. With Caesar's military strength and support, Cleopatra regained her throne as the Queen of Egypt. She ruled not as a puppet, but as a true and independent leader. But as they spent more time together, their partnership grew into something more personal. Cleopatra and Caesar became lovers. Soon after, Cleopatra gave birth to a son, whom she named Caesarion, which means Little Caesar. Cleopatra believed that Caesarion was the future ruler of both Egypt and Rome. But back in Rome, many people were uncomfortable with this relationship. They whispered, "A foreign queen? With our Roman leader? Is she trying to take power?" Some admired Cleopatra's intelligence and beauty, but others saw her as a threat to Roman traditions. Despite this, Cleopatra visited Rome, living in one of Caesar's villas. With her son, she hoped their union would be respected, and that Caesarion might one day rule. But then, everything changed suddenly. In 44 BC, Julius Caesar was assassinated. He was stabbed by a group of Roman senators, right in the Senate building. They believed Caesar had grown too powerful and feared he would declare himself king. When Cleopatra heard the news, she was devastated. She immediately returned to Egypt, fearing for her own life and her son's safety. Though her heart was broken, Cleopatra was not defeated. She still had power. She still had Caesarion, and she was determined to protect Egypt at any cost. Years passed, and the power of Rome continued to grow, but Egypt still stood strong under Cleopatra's rule. Then, another Roman leader rose to power. Mark Antony, Caesar's most loyal general and a powerful figure in Rome. He called for Cleopatra. He wanted her to come and meet him. So Cleopatra prepared, not with armies, but with grace, beauty, and power. She sailed to meet him on a golden ship with silver sails, perfume in the air, and music playing softly over the water. When Mark Antony saw her, he was stunned. She looked like a goddess from legend, confident, beautiful, and commanding. Their connection was instant, and their love even more passionate than what Cleopatra had shared with Caesar. They became partners in every way. They lived together, ruled together, and had 3 children. Cleopatra and Antony didn't just share love. They shared power. But back in Rome, not everyone approved. Mark Antony's rival, Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, was watching them closely. To him, this was more than romance. This was danger. A Roman leader, with a foreign queen, raising children and ruling in the East. Octavian saw betrayal, and betrayal meant war. So he made a choice. He declared war on Cleopatra and Antony. By 31 BC, war between Rome and the lovers Cleopatra and Mark Antony was unavoidable. Their enemy Octavian had grown too powerful. He painted Antony as a traitor, and Cleopatra as a dangerous foreign queen. At sea, near the coast of Actium, the final battle began. Cleopatra and Antony's combined fleet faced off against Octavian's navy. But from the start, things went wrong. Their ships were surrounded, their soldiers were outnumbered, and in the chaos, Cleopatra made a decision. She fled the battlefield with her fleet, sailing back to Egypt. Antony, seeing her retreat, believed she had abandoned him, or worse, that she was already dead. Heartbroken and feeling betrayed, Mark Antony fell on his own sword, but Cleopatra was still alive. She rushed to him and found him dying. She held him as he bled in her arms. In those final moments, they were together again, not as rulers, but as 2 people broken by empire and fate. And then, Cleopatra made her final choice. Now alone, Cleopatra knew what was coming. Octavian was marching into Egypt. He planned to take her prisoner and parade her through Rome as a trophy of his victory. But Cleopatra refused to be humiliated. She had lived as a queen, and she would choose to die as one. So she prepared her final moment. Legend says she had a poisonous asp, a small Egyptian snake, brought to her in a basket, lying in her royal chambers, wearing her finest robes. She held the snake to her skin. One bite, and her body began to weaken. In silence, and with dignity, Cleopatra passed away. The last pharaoh of Egypt was gone. And for a legacy, Cleopatra wasn't just a woman of beauty. She was a diplomat, a leader, a survivor, and a queen who stood against the might of Rome. After her death, Egypt became a Roman province. But her story? It never died. From Shakespeare's plays to modern films, Cleopatra remains a symbol of love, intelligence, and unbreakable will. Some rulers conquered with armies. Cleopatra conquered with mind, mystery, and presence. A queen remembered forever. If you enjoyed this story and want more true tales from forgotten pages of history, of warriors, explorers, empires, and legends, then subscribe to Vault of Centuries, because the past isn't gone. It's just waiting to be rediscovered.